Alright. Welcome back, everybody, to Live on Slow Mode. This is our 65th live stream. Thank y'all for tuning in this evening. As always, we're in the lab creating more slow-mo Moorish portals for you all. How's everybody doing? Drop in the chat where you watching from. How everybody feeling today? We got a few things to cover this evening. Make sure y'all check out our official website, www.slowmoed.com, and check out our merchandise. I'm currently wearing this shirt right here, Noble Drew Ali, More Revisited. Very comfortable product. Very enlightening for anybody that's aware of the Moorish African consciousness. Make sure you check this out at our official website. So we have a lot to cover this evening. Hang on while I get everything set up. One moment. Where y'all watching from? And also, make sure y'all donate to our Cash App if you don't want to support our merchandise from our store. Make sure you donate to our Cash App. If you see right down here, donate $, slow-moed 420. That'll help us out, help us get us faster to help our community and help out the rest of the world, bring more information and enlightenment. Okay, so the link for the shirt is down in the description. And the topic for today that we're going to cover is the dark-skinned African-moors are the first humans and the illusion of races. So I'm going to show a video by Dr. Molefe Kida Asante. About to pull this up for you all right now. So this is our official SLOWMOED X page or Twitter page. And if y'all stay tuned with our X page, y'all will be most updated through this social media page, because this is where we tend to share all of the relevant information as of right now. So I wanted to show first this video of Dr. Molefe Kida Asante of the NK Institute in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I want to say this so that you can listen to this and he can listen to it as well as we go. A couple of things. One is that the foundation.
Hang on. This video is available at Molefe Kida Asante Institute Lectures. This is his official YouTube page. So if y'all want to see every one of his lectures that are available on YouTube, you can find it at this YouTube page. Make sure y'all give him a subscribe. And this video is Sankofa Master Plan for Kidnapped Africans. And he introduces a guest, Aboye Stanley Crawford, earlier in the lecture, but I specifically want to go over this part. So make sure y'all give this video a watch. He introduces
breaking the chains. We got
this scholar right here. Very informational, very enlightening individual. A lot to say. And I wanted to focus on this part that I timestamped right here in the comment section. If y'all see on the screen, we left 2 comments on here. I wanted to highlight this part right here, where I said we really need our dark-skinned, swarthy African-moors people, or so-called quote black people end quote, to understand this portion right here, which I'm about to show. So let's continue.
Otherwise, I'm telling you, race itself is a dead end. It's first of all, it's biologically untrue. There's only one race, and that's humanity. We all come from Africa. One African woman created all these 8 billion people on earth today. So you have to understand that, but you also have to understand unique history. So we have Dominicans in our community who don't understand that they're black, then we need to teach them, because they got problems. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, we shouldn't be fighting with each other, knowing that the real oppressor is looking at it and watching the factions. So that's a very important thing. I just wanted to say that, just coming out of an Afrocentric point of view. The way I see it is that we have to always have those things in mind.
So a few points here. Dr. Malefikita Asante, I'm pretty sure, is familiar with African Moorish history. And the thing is, unfortunately, Dr. Malefikita Asante didn't address the origins or etymology of the word Moor, as a lot of Pan-African scholars tend to do. And the term Moor predates the word black, or the English word black, by millennia, pretty much. So the term mauros comes from the Greeks, and the Greeks got it from the Africans. It was an African word originally, but we also have to understand that the Africans introduced the alphabet and writing to the rest of the world. Dr. Malefikita Asante understands that writing starts fundamentally in Kemet, which he has stated in his other lecture. So this we have to address this. So some key points that he had made that I want to address as well.
Otherwise, I'm telling you, race itself is a dead end. It's first of all, it's biologically untrue. There's only one race, and that's humanity. We all come from Africa. One African woman created all these 8 billion people on earth today.
So that already answered pretty much the first portion of this video. And well, basically he just answered the title of our current live stream right now. So the title of our live stream is "The Dark-Skinned African Moors Are the First Humans and the Illusion of Races." He basically just said here, races are biologically meaningless, pretty much. The same as Dr. Alice Roberts, who stated in the Journey of Humankind, I believe, documentary in 2009, where she did research with other geneticists, and basically they came to the conclusion that race is scientifically meaningless. And so we are still playing these games of race and social construct in the year 2026. And on social media and also in the media with politicians and these big news platforms, they're still choosing to keep the public people ignorant of the social construct of races. So a lot of people are still thinking that there are quote-unquote racist people, when that is in fact only hate and prejudice, which is rooted in ignorance. But we will discuss this further in the video.
So you have to understand that, but you also have to understand unique history. So we have Dominicans in our community who don't understand that they're black, then we need to teach them. But
so we have to understand here, when he says that we have Dominicans in our community that don't understand that they are quote-unquote black, we have to clear this up and understand that the term black is an adjective and it's not a noun. The term black cannot be used to identify people. The term black is not a nationality, according to Dr. John Hendrik Clark. I probably bring up that video. Give me one moment as we look for that. Let's go to our official Twitter X page. I'm pretty sure I already uploaded this. Okay, here we go. We're gonna use this video.
Negro and color. Because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and color and black. You have no nationality. Negro is not a nationality. Some lazy Portuguese or Spanish took an adjective and made a noun out of it. Color is not a nationality. Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are. Right. Okay. The name of the people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. There's no black land or black hole. The name of every people in the world relate to country. And once you think instantaneously of land, you think of nationality. Because you answer
Okay.
to such stupid words like Negro and color and black.
So this is why this is important to understand African Moorish history. Excuse me, I'm trying to put this together. There we go. Okay, this is why this is important to understand African Moorish history. Put this side by side. Okay.
But they got problems. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, we shouldn't be fighting with each other, knowing that the real oppressor is looking at it and watching the factions. So that's a very important thing. I just wanted to say that just coming up. But they got problems. Come from Africa. One African woman created all these 8 billion people on earth today. So you have to understand that. But you also have to understand unique history. So we have Dominicans in our community who don't understand that they're black, then we need to teach them. Because they got problems. You see what I'm saying? But
so the thing about this, which I will touch on right now, is that me personally, I've worked with Dominican coworkers and Hispanic coworkers in the past. Now these coworkers felt comfortable with using the term Negro or nigga, etc. And the Dominican coworker didn't understand his Africanness, and also didn't understand the origin of Homo sapiens sapien, or modern humans. So I thought it was very humorous that he thought that he wasn't African, and I found it very humorous and sad, because it was like he felt like as though when he was using the term nigga that he was disrespecting black people, or poking fun at black people, quote unquote. But it's like his ignorance. He was ignorant of his African origin, and thinking that he was specifically solely Dominican. Now we have to understand the order of Dominicans was created in Europe. So the Dominican order was created against the Moors, the African Moors in Europe, and so having the understanding that the alphabet and writing was a creation of the African Moors or Kemites, it's quite nonsensical and tomfoolish of my Dominican coworker to be ignorant of the origin of humans. So Dr. Maleficita Asante was saying,
we shouldn't be fighting with it equally untrue. There's only one race, and that's humanity. We all come from Africa. One African woman created all these 8 billion people on earth today. So you have to understand that, but you also have to understand unique histories. So we have Dominicans in our community who don't understand that they're black. Then we need to teach them.
I would have to say here, actually, we need to teach them African Moorish history and also quote unquote black history, because they are tied together. Now, the most important here would be the African Moorish history, because that ties the timeline with the quote unquote black history in our current times. So one moment while I return with the book. Okay, so we have here the book, Who Were the Moors Before the Moors? As we showed this on our last live stream, so we're going to take a look at this book. In the the book Who Were the Moors Before the Moors. Unfortunately, this book isn't available on the ebook version online. So I'm gonna go through a few pages here. Just to show you all and provide evidence that this is, we need to address the quote-unquote black problem and understand the etymology of words, especially our Pan-African scholars with doctor titles. So in chapter 2 of Who Were the Moors Before the Moors, page 88, we said on our previous live stream, if y'all give that a watch. Chapter 2. The original Moors, the first human family, the Twa and Buti Khoisan of Central and Southern Africa. Quote, the great ones of the palace. Hang on, let me basically, I want to show it on the screen. Got a couple of pages I want to show. Let me go ahead and upload these. One moment. And this is impromptu, you guys. You all. So, like I said, previous live streams, I don't have a list somewhere around me to basically do a plot of our live on slow mode. So I'm basically going off the top of my head and remembering all the contents I wanted to share for this live stream. So there's a few pages I want to show, showing the African Moors as opposed to the Muslim Islamic Moors. And we're using this book reference for scholarship and commentary, for research, for fair use, to enlighten the public people and the future generations. Okay, we're going to upload these pictures for you all, and we're just going to read along together and connect our evidence with the topic of our live stream. The dark-skinned African Moors are the first humans, and the illusion of races. And we're going to tie everything together. Okay, while it's uploading, let me get everything prepared for everybody so we can make this smooth transition. Currently downloading it right now. Okay, we got everything downloaded. So let me bring up let's see here. Okay. So on the screen, I'm gonna show this book, and so if y'all see on the screen, that's page 104. Let's start with page 93. Just to show you all that this isn't just me saying African Moor and just you know, the first Moors, African Moors wasn't the first people. This isn't just the title of the video, but I'm actually providing evidence so you all can see that this is written down and published by scholars like Dr. Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, Dr. John L. Johnson, Dr. John G. Jackson, etc. All these scholars, and we got these politicians, social media account platformer, streamer guys saying race, 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 black, 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 you know, and all this, and they're not showing their evidence. So on page 93 of this same book, Who Were the Moors Before the Moors, chapter 2. So you see here, let me zoom in. Everything looks good, everything look like everybody can see. So, the Twa, also known as Batwa, Tengu, Neotia, or Anu, are God's gift to the world, and they are the ancestors of all humanity. So if you see here, the Moorish, Twa Mbuti Khoisan, Moiti, who have seen magnets, explain that these devices operate by the same principle. The Twa and Buti Khoisan Moti have supernatural, extraordinary, clairvoyant, and telepathic powers of superhuman order. These parapsychological powers are part of Africa's sacred scientific cultural legacy. If we scroll down here, Ba Toi Bes, the first netter, natural force, or principle, the Toi use of the Horus lock is descriptive of the Kush Kemetic netter Bes, the first ancestor of the Kush Kemet, who was visualized as Toi Koi. Bes was associated with children, and Bes is linked to Horus the child. Bes was the first ancestor of the Kush Kemet, and she was Toi Koi or Anu. Bes was the male-female principle of the original human. Okay? Now, Horus the child, if we go to the book by Dr. Muada Ashby, let me pull that up real quick. The Kemetic Tree of Life, I believe. He gives more in-depth knowledge as to who Horus the child is. So this is the book Kemetic Diet. No, not Kemetic Diet, but the Kemetic Tree of Life by Dr. Muada Ashby. Right here, you see the title here, Kemetic Tree of Life. Now this was first published in 2007. This is the first book I read by Dr. Muada Ashby. So I'm going to start on, I'm going to read a little bit of page 40. I'm going to start right here. Make sure everybody can see it. I know the text might be a little bit small, but we're going to have to bear with it. So in the realm of generation, the realm of time and space, you can never find the abating contentment because everything changes and nothing is abiding. All you are going to find is something that is going to appease you temporarily until another desire arises. Then you're going to have to go on pursuing that, and you will never be happy in that way. For there will be a renewing stress about searching and then securing happiness, which again can never happen. The only way you will be truly happy and fulfilled is when you attain transcendental consciousness, the new level. And so the Anunian theurgy explains that the human being is to become Haru-Ur, or master of the earth. Haru-Ur is the lowermost divinity of the cosmic mythography. That's a big word. Cosmic mythograph. But Haru-Ur represents the perfection of enlightened consciousness. He is human and knowledgeable about the physical creation, but he also knows Ra and the higher realms of existence. Even while living as a human being on earth, the grossest realm, Ta, he is the lowest Netaru on the diagram of the Kemetic tree because he is the lowest being. He is the lowest because he is the master of the lower, master of the earth realm, the Ta. Haru represents the potential of every human being who, living on earth, can also attain the heights of spiritual evolution and self-discovery. And that is what you are supposed to be striving for. All those who are enlightened beings or ordinary human beings slaves to the world of time and space and desires, which is symbolized by Haru the child before he becomes Haru-Ur. Haru-Ur, from the perspective of human existence, is the goal of the spiritual aspirant. But how does Haru-Ur come about? As we proceed further on in our discussion, we will discuss about the different aspects of Haru. Haru as the blind one, Haru as the child, Haru as the fighter, etc. We will talk about the struggle that has to go on for Haru-Ur to develop within you from Haru. Haru symbolizes spiritual aspiration, the kind of aspiration that allows you to have the determination and fighting character to forge ahead despite the formidable obstacles in the way of attaining higher consciousness. Egoism is the most powerful foe, obstacle, of the spiritual aspirant attaining enlightenment. Set is that foe, the rival of Haru. And what does attaining enlightenment mean? From a nuts and bolts aspect, it means that you must control your lower forces that are operating through you, that are generating through you, that are leading you astray, that are controlling your life, and then you are to come into the knowledge of the higher self, the transcendental aspect of, quote, you. Okay? So more on Haru-Ur if we go to the diagram of the Kemetic tree of life. This is a picture of Haru-Ur right here, Haru the child. So this image is also associated with Bes. If you see down here, this is also associated with Bes. This image right here, this icon right here is associated with Bes. So the same thing that we're talking about in Dr. Kaba Hiawatha Kamene's book, Bes Twa Bes, coming from the first human beings on the planet, the African-moors, Twa and Booty Khoisan, as we see here, is also associated with the spiritual teachings of Kemet. So, let's read a little bit on page 132 of the Kemetic Tree of Life by Dr. Muada Ashby. Lesson 6. So, Lesson 6, the principle of Haru the child, and how to start to practice the theurgy of the Tree of Life as a beginning aspirant. So let me zoom in. Sorry that the screen is like a little blocked up, but gotta make do. The name of the god Haru, and you have the hieroglyphics here, it means that which is on high. Notice that the phonetic triliteral consonant shows his head. Her is a part of the name. Her means person or personality or entity. All people are her or personalities. Haru is the highest personality, the personality of all personalities. Figure 25, Haru Pa Kahar, and it shows this Haru child touching his lip with his finger. As an ordinary worldly human being, your soul, ASAR, eternity, immortality, has made it with Nebet, excuse me. I'm thinking of different African principles. So, worldly desires, mortality, in the sense you have taken on the role of Set, the divinity who represents egoism. You have developed throughout many lifetimes in such a way that you have more awareness of yourself within the context of morality and worldly desires, not so much as an immortal and infinite being. Now the spiritual journey begins when, due to a certain attainment of virtue which you have attained, your personality becomes purified to a certain extent where you start to question the world and yourself concept with serious inquiries such as, who am I? Why am I here? Why is there so much sorrow in the world? Why does the world seem so futile? What is life all about? What are these divinities? I'm seriously interested in that. I want to know more about life, etc. And that's Heru being born and inquiring about the nature of life and aspiring to discover its secrets and master its powers. When you start asking those questions, but not just in a superficial way, as most people do at some point in life, but in a serious way, that you will do whatever is required to pursue the answers to the questions. Also, you are able to recognize people around you who are wise and who can lead you to others who are even more knowledgeable. So you are led eventually to Aset, the quote, Lady of Wisdom, end quote. And then Aset introduces you to her husband, her counterpart, who in this context really represents resurrected soul, the soul that has regained its immortal awareness. And then you begin to realize in small and not completely intelligible ways that, hey, there is some soul, there is some eternity here, there is something there beyond this death and mayhem and destruction and the unhappiness that there is in this world. Aset also represents dispassion and detachment. And that is when Aset and ASAR are able to come together. When the soul turns away from worldliness, Set and Neptet, and turns to Aset, you see the diagonal lines that are emanating from them. They come together and they produce Heru Pa Kahar, as you see Heru the child here. Heru the child, the prince, and Heru the child is you. Your newborn aspiration for self-discovery and self-mastery, and to become a true seeker of spiritual enlightenment. As Aset and ASAR protected and guided him, you too are to be guided by them until you are ready to control the forces of nature. See image below of Heru Pa Kahar, controlling animals' lower desire. Later, as a symbol of nature, animal desires and passions of the personality, and the advancement in the philosophy of Aset are achieved, Heru grows up, aspiration becomes mature, and the aspirant is ready to do battle with Set in the form of Heru Begdet, to challenge for the throne of Kemet, to become ruler of the world, lower forces, and become Heru And as you see here, the figure 26, Heru Picard, as controller of the lower forces, the lower natures. So if you see these lower forces, you see the serpents, you see these fiends, see the serpents, they're trampling the serpents. You got Jehuti, Heru, and Hathor, or that's Nekbet, excuse me. So, origins, diagram 9, origins of Heru and Anpu in the tree of life, and the pathway to the start of the journey of spiritual enlightenment. And if you see here, this is what I wanted to cover earlier. You got here Ra. Let me zoom in so y'all can see. At the top of this tree of life, you have Ra, spirit fire. You have Shu and Tefnut, space, ether, air. Tefnut, life force and water. Geb and Nut, the children of Shu and Tefnut, earth and heaven. The children of Geb and Nut are these 5 right here, or 4, and then I'll explain right here. So you have ASAR, eternity soul, Aset, wisdom and immortality, Set, egoism, Neptet, mortality, and Heru master of the earth, who is the child of ASAR and Aset. So ASAR and Aset creates Heru Set and Neptet, they are married, but they do not produce any offspring, because this is only the mortality existence, and this is egoism, the lower self. Now, ASAR and Neptet, ASAR has an affair with Aset. With Neptet, I believe he got confused between the two because he was drunk one night and he had intercourse with Neptet and created Anpu, a creation of Anpu, which is the judger of the dead. So ASAR and Aset, Haru Pa Kahar, and ASAR Neptet creates Anpu, or Anubis. Now if you see here, through virtue, Ma'at, and philosophical instruction from Aset, Haru Pakar becomes controller of natural forces. So if you see here, Bes, and this in turn, through victory over the lower forces and through the schooling of Aset, Haru Pakar becomes Haru Bagdet, or Haru the warrior. Through victory over Set and successful journey through the tree, Haru Bagdet becomes Haru Okay, so I just wanted to show that in this relation to what we're reading about the Moorish, African Moorish, dark-skinned, swarthy, Twa and Buti Khoisan people that are the first human beings on the planet. So the title of our live stream, the dark-skinned African Moors are the first humans. Here you have it. The Moorish Twa and Buti Khoisan Mortia. This is the same Africans. These are Africans. Humanity started on Africa. I know we hear about Neanderthal and these new discoveries in Europe and all this. I know we hear about Neanderthal, right? But even Neanderthal came from, its origins come from the hominids. Okay? So it still comes from the interior of Africa. Okay, so let's go to the next portion I wanted to show. So on page 96 of Who Are the Moors Before the Moors by Dr. Kabahai Watakamene, says here, Twa sound of nature. Okay? The Moorish Twa people are the creators of the world's first music. I mean, the Moorish Twa people are the creators of the world's first music. Okay, so we have a lot of YouTube platforms, a lot of social media platforms debating about who created hip hop first and who created rap first, right? One person in general I'm gonna call out is what's his name? UPTV, urban politicians. UPTV, we have urban politicians calling out, oh, who created hip hop, who created rap, etc. This is just one person. But I wanted to address this because I left multiple comments on Urban Politicians YouTube channel. Multiple comments trying to get him to see that Africa is responsible for music, and he has these rants about quote unquote black people, but it seems that he doesn't understand African Moorish history. So since my platform isn't as big enough, I don't have as many subscribers and etc., it's kind of difficult for me to like get my point across and show the evidence that I have to present. So this is why this live stream is being created. This is why our business even exists, pretty much. even before that, even just the misinformation that's being put out by these multiple YouTube platforms and social media guys and etc. So I'm just connecting the dots and showing the evidence, because you got the Moorish Temple of America, you got the Nation of Islam saying Asiatic, but Africa is responsible for humanity. Even before the Bible, even before the Quran, even before Arabic, even before Muslim, even before the Moor conquest in Spain. Okay, so we got to understand this, and nobody's saying nothing. You got these PhDs that are basically saying that the origin of writing and the origin of the alphabet is unclear, but it's clear that Africa is responsible for humanity. And as you see here, Africa is responsible for the world's first music. So if we continue down here on this page 96 of the same book right here. So, for the Twa, God is all good and spirit is all good. The Moorish Twa people are the reason that African people, as well as people around the world, are so religious or spiritual. God is not viewed to be positive and negative. God is conceived to be all good. Quote, the Twa people say, quote, he who made the light also made the darkness. If darkness is good. Twa people say that they have received from God a high moral code, quote, that forbids lying, killing, lying, theft, blasphemy, adultery, sorcery, and disrespect towards old people and other forms of antisocial behavior. The Twa gave birth to humanity and civilization, and they are the most highly civilized people on the planet Earth. Twa people believe that the two worst offenses of people can commit are harm or disrespect to 1, elders, and 2, children. Now this reference, if you see 61, is from the book The Integration Trap, the Generation Gap Caused by a Choice Between Two Cultures, Dr. Abba Tishaka, Pan-African Publishers and Distributors, Oakland, California, 2005, page 109. So let's go to that book so we can see who this person is. Oba. I haven't read this book. Well, this book down about the show, but just to give some context and see if it's online. If it is online, we can go to the doctor and see it. Oh, okay. Cool. Let's see if the book is online. Hopefully it is. So we can go to the source. Uh-oh. Alright, it's available online, so let me log in and get this information, and we're going to go to page 1. We're going to go to page 109. Okay, so let me bring this up on the screen. This is the book. As you see, Abba Tisaka, PhD. Since that's all people care about is titles by their name, PhD, as you see, Abu Tashak PhD. First print 2005. K109. Okay, here we go. So, let us make this full screen, zoom in. So on page 109, like I just said, zoom in so y'all can see. Awesome, that's a good zoom in, okay? So, you see, for the Twa, God is all good and spirit is all good. It should be clear that the Twa are the reason that African people are so religious or spiritual to our bone marrow. On one level, world religions portray God as good, but many examples of God's behavior in world religions illustrate negative qualities such as jealousy and vengeance. On the lower degrees of knowledge, African spirit systems also describe God as having human qualities that are both positive and negative, although more positive than negative. To the Twa, God is not viewed to be positive and negative. God is conceived to be all good. Similarly, the Twa disagree with other Africans who believe that there are positive and negative spirits. The Twa say, quote, "He who made the light also made the darkness," end quote. The Twa have another saying, quote, "If darkness is good," end quote. Twa people say that they receive from God a high moral code, quote, "that forbids killing, lying, theft, blasphemy, adultery, sorcery, and disrespect towards old people and other forms of antisocial behavior," end quote. The Twa not only gave birth to humanity and civilization, they are the most highly civilized people on the planet Earth, and authors of the world's first spirit system, and authors of African philosophy, or Ma'at. They are the embodiment of just thoughts, words, and actions. Twa people believe that the two worst offenses a people can commit are the harm or disrespect elders and children. Twa justness prevented them from participating in the slave trade. Among the Twa, murder, lying, theft, and adultery, sorcery, and disrespect towards elders and children is virtually non-existent. Okay, so let us go back to where we were at before. Let me see where we were at. That's not it. Integration trap. So who were the Mauros before the Moors? We were here, and then we were reading right here. So this was the reference that we just looked at for 61, and also probably earlier. Of course, this is by the scholar, but you know, you got all this. Y'all can take a screenshot of it and see it yourselves. So on page 104 of the same book that was printed in the year 2025, okay, so as y'all see, page 104, the same book. So let me zoom in so y'all can see. Ma'at is the foundation of Kush Kemet, Egyptian philosophy and civilization. Quote, "To understand the mentality behind African languages, we must again go back to the world's first people, the Twa, or Anu people, the authors of the world's first language," end quote. 81. Okay, so the first language on the planet Earth, and also the first humans. The dark-skinned African Moorish Twa and Mbuti Khoisan. So that is on page 193 of the integration trap. If you see here, this 81. So If y'all don't want to call Dr. Kabahai Wata Kamene a doctor, let's go to the doctor that he received this from. The Integration Trap. Page 193. So let's go to page 193. Oh, look at the instant burner. I might need to read this book. So 193, Mod Philosophy. Okay, if y'all see here on the screen, Mod Foundation of Kemetic Philosophy and Civilization. To understand the mentality behind African languages, we must again go back to the world's first people, the Twa or Anu people, the author of the world's first language. The Twa, quote, possess a monosyllabic language of their own, and one of the proofs lies in the fact that they speak words which have the same sounds as the ancient hieroglyphics of Egypt. And our contention is that these are the original, quote, end quote, quote, there may be few words to express all their meanings, but we must call the first and oldest language of primitive man, end quote. One of the most important linguistic links between the Twa and Kemites is a very important word that is the foundation of Kemetic philosophy. The Twa word is, quote, Mauri, end quote, and, quote, ma, end quote, which means, quote, good, right, to be good, to do well, and to be straight, end quote. Masari and ma is the root word for the word ma'at. In his transliteration of Manu Neter, representation of the goddess Ma'at, Obanga reads, quote, Ma'at, daughter of Ra, mistress and chieftainess of, I'm going a little bit further now, the land of the realm of the dead, end quote. The definition of Ma'at is consistent with the Twa concept. Ma'at for the Kemites was both cosmic and earthly law. Ultimately, Ma'at is so all-encompassing that she is ultimately incomprehensible. So Ma'at is incomprehensible, but you got celebrities. They don't really want to teach Ma'at. They just want to flaunt these teachings, you know, and just leave it to the public people to find out, I guess. So while the public people are suffering and wondering what's going on and wondering who the blacks are and all this, right? You got celebrities who know. You got celebrities who know about ancient African Moorish science and history. You got celebrities that know. You got these celebrities that know, but you know, I don't know. We're just supposed to figure it out. We're just supposed to figure it out. I mean, I don't know. So it's like, why is nobody saying nothing? Okay, so let's go back to who were the Moors before the Moors. So we just showed the, you know, this quote where we got it from, and if we continue here, Ma'at is the foundation of Moorish Kush Kemetic philosophy. Of course, this was written by this scholar, Kabahayawatha Kamene. Ma'at is the foundation of Moorish Kush Kemetic philosophy. So you got Moorish Science Temple of American members saying Moorish American, and the first Americans were Moors. So it's like we just said on our last live stream, we just showed the 101 questions of Noble Drew Ali or the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? So the term Moorish simply means dark-skinned. That's the etymology of it. Hang on, let me bring up another book. We've already shown this. Just so, because we got people that seem to not understand English. We got people that don't understand English, especially, unfortunately, quote-unquote black and Pan-African scholars that don't seem to understand English. This is the unfortunate dilemma that we're going through right now in the year 2026. We have PhDs, black scholars, quote-unquote, and Pan-African scholars not understanding English. So this is the concise etymological dictionary by Walter Skeet. This was written in the 19th century, I believe. You got here Moor, a native of North Africa, French, Latin, Greek, French Moor, and Moor, Kat El, Morris, Greek Mauros, Amor, Der, blackamoor, corruption of blackamoor, Meshu, i.e. blackamoor, or blackmoor, I mean. Let's see here. Let's go back here. If we go Nature Knows No Color Line by J. Rogers. I'm about to say doctor. Nature Knows No Color Line by J. Rogers. I'm just searching. I'm telling y'all this is impromptu, so I didn't just look at this before researching this right now, presently live as of 9:09 Central Standard Time. I've already read this book. I don't even know if this is written like this in here. Okay? We already read this on our previous live stream. Let me try to find a different source. So this is page 55. I just showed you the etymological dictionary, Walter Skeet, right here. We got more. Native of North Africa, right? Nature Knows No Color Line right here. Page 55. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. The racial intermixture in Spain and Portugal. While the white Vandals were pouring into Africa in the 4th and 5th centuries. This is before Islam. This is before Muslims. This is before the Arab conquest. Okay? Africans continued to arrive in southern Europe, chiefly as slaves. But in 711 AD, they came in as conquerors. One, crossing into Spain, they captured Gibraltar and defeated the Goths, while Germanic invaders of 3 centuries earlier, their commander Tariq, a Negro, gave his name to Gibraltar, formerly Cape. These Africans were Moors, sometimes called Arabs because of their language. To the earlier Greeks, the Moors were a quote, a black or dark people, end quote, mauros. And to the Romans, Moorish, a black, woolly-haired people known synonymously as Ethiops, Niger, Negro, and Afro-African. Even as late to the 5th century AD, Procopius, Roman historian, calls the people of Morocco, quote, black, end quote. So we go further. Where we at? We're on page 72. Nature knows no color line. So if y'all see here on the screen, zoom out so if y'all want to read it all faster than me. So it says, quote, Moor, end quote, the race, as it occurs in European heraldry, always means Negro. Quote, Moor's head, end quote, says Barry, quote, is the heraldic term for the head of a black or Negro man. Quote, Abbott says, quote, Moor's head, the head of a Negro, end quote. Edmondson says similarly, and this definition is etymologically correct. The Greeks, as was said, used, quote, mauros, end quote, to mean black or dark, and the Romans used it for Negroes. Quote, woolly hair like a Moors, end quote, says Marshall. To Claudian, Moors, Ethiopians, and Negretians, that is Negroes, were one and the same. He speaks of the Moors, quote, who dwell beside the waters of Gur, most famous of the rivers of Ethiopia, that overflows its bank as if it had been another Nile, end quote. The Gur referred to here is the Niger or Niger. Sir William Smith says the Moors were known in Alexandria dialect as, quote, blacks, end quote, and that, quote, the Moors must not be considered a different race from the Numidians, end quote. Edgar says that to the Greeks, Romans, and Gauls, the Moors were known as, quote, the black people, end quote. He adds, quote, the word Mauritania, inhabited by black populations, and was later called Negritia or Negro land. Moor therefore was the equivalent of Negro. The word Moor or Moor signifies a more primitive population, end quote. Since therefore the Romans invaded Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, and other parts of Europe, they undoubtedly took the word, quote, Moor, end quote, meaning a black people with them. In fact, so common was the use of, quote, Moor, end quote, for Negroes that it is astonishing to find some writers calling Moors a white race. McRitchie, referring to a passage in Claudian, Ille leves moros nec falso nomi pictos edumut, says, continuing on page 73, says, quote, now, when Claudian wrote for a long time after Moorish signified a great deal more than a native of Mauritania, any Latin dictionary, any old one at least, would tell you that Moorish is a Moor, a blackamoor, or a tiny Moor. And Shakespeare used the word Moor as a synonym for Negro. The Roman quote, Moorish, end quote, occurs in the European languages as Moor, Mahor, Moro, Morian, Morin, and scores of other forms. For instance, the Italian dictionary says, quote, moro, amo, neuro, di Ethiop, end quote, black men of Ethiopia. The Century Dictionary says Moor means, quote, blackamoor, hence Morin, Morisque, Morisco, Moorish, end quote. It is much the same in the Teutonic languages. The word Moor in German says Stoll was, quote, exactly equivalent to Negro, end quote, in the time of Othello. Let's continue. Quote, Moor, end quote, for Negro continued to be in general use in England until at least the 18th century. This is the 1700s AD. Nathaniel Bailey, compiler of the first English dictionary, 1736, has, quote, Moor, French, more Italian and Spanish, or black Moor, a native of Mauritania, end quote. Dr. Samuel Johnson, 1755, has, quote, Moorish Latin, a Negro blackamoor, end quote. Mulattoes were called tawny Moors and sometimes tanny Moors. Bailey says they were born one of parents of which one is a Moor and the other of some other nation or white, end quote. Albino Negroes were called, quote, white Moors, end quote. This later was a nickname in Spain for ushers. Okay, so we already read all this on our previous live streams. That's why I say put our live on slow mode playlist on repeat, and let me go to our YouTube official YouTube page. So that's why I stress, go to our official live on slow mode YouTube page and go to our playlist and view our live on slow mode playlist so that you all can see that we have been mentioning these topics for the whole duration of our live on slow mode series. So while you are at work, while you're on your commute to work, while you're on the bus to school, while you're exercising on the elliptical, etc., you can put on our playlist and gain some knowledge. This is basically another audio book with some enlightening information that's available to you at your fingertips. So make sure y'all support our channel. This is a form of supporting our channel because this gives us watch hours and also exposes our algorithm to other people that may be in search of African-moors knowledge. Y'all can also go to our official website on our live tab and be able to watch all of our live streams available here. If you see here below, watch our past live streams. This is a playlist to go over our previous live stream. It's not showing here currently, but this is our playlist. Okay, so just want to stress that. Okay, so continuing on page 104 of Who Are the Moors Before the Moors. As you see here, the Itari Forest in Central Africa. The Itari Rainforest is a rainforest located in Itari province of northeastern Dominican Republic of Congo, formerly called Zaire. The forest's name derives from the nearby Itari River, which flows through the rainforest, connecting firstly to the Aruwimi Aruwimi River, and finally into Congo, and many other river systems. It is also home of the Moorish Twa and Mbuti, one of the hunter-gatherer peoples living in equatorial rainforests, categorized by their adult short height. I was about to say stature. Below 4'11" or 59 inches on average. The average temperature is 31 Celsius or 88 Fahrenheit. And the average humidity is about 85 to 90%. As you can see here, the Twa and Mbuti origins, the Ifa, Twa, and Mbuti Moors are considered by mitochondrial DNA haplotype analysis to be one of the oldest people on Earth. So this is this author saying this. And finally, on chapter 3, if you see here, chapter 3, the Moors of the Mediterranean, the Pelasgians of the ancient Mediterranean were Moors. African Moors. So I know y'all been seeing African Moors on slow-moed. That's because I'm trying to distinguish and not confuse the public people like the Moorishscience Temple of America has been doing for the past century, trying to confuse people that is just Moorish American and is not connecting to the Africans, the African Moors, like they're not African Moors as well. So you see here, if you look on the screen, it says African Moors traveled throughout the world and brought technology and culture to the entire planet. The African Moors living in the Mediterranean area were called, quote, Pelasgians, end quote. The Pelasgians were the first inhabitants of Greece, the Aegean Sea, Rome, Corsica, Sardinia, and Spain. Crete was the center of this dominant Moorish Kushite civilization. There is documented evidence that the Greek and Roman classical civilization came out of Africa. Dr. G.J.K. Campbell Dunn, in his book, The African Origin of Classical Civilization, states, quote, the most influential group of Africans were called the people of Pelasgiatis, from Thalassy, end quote. Okay, so African Moors, right? So this is another scholar saying African Moors, okay? So y'all saying Moorish American, etc., right? But the first Americans were Moors. The first Americans were Africans. The first Americans were Africans. Moorish American. The first Americans were Moors. They were African Moors. More on African Moors. Okay, so African Moor, we're seeing African Moor, right? These are PhDs saying this. I'm going to show two more PhDs saying the same thing, African Moor. But you got the Moorishscience Temple members saying, confusing everybody, saying Moorish American and all this, right? And then nobody saying nothing. ASAR. Oh shit. Excuse my language, but I'm not trying to like. The last time I had this, I showed this video. My video got copyright strike because of the music used. So I wanted to show on the screen. So this is Dr. Asa G. Hilliard, and this video is entitled Dr. Asa G. Hilliard Escaping the Matrix, available on YouTube. So if you see here on the screen, he has this projector behind him. Give this video a watch if you haven't already. But what I wanted to show was what he had on the screen. So, if you see here, African Moors and European royalty, 7th century AD beyond 1492. And he has here scholars McRitchie, Joe Rogers, Ivan Van Sertima, Renoko Rashidi, Asa G. Hilliard, the year 2006. Okay? So this is a PhD. This is my reference for you all to do further research. African Moors. African Moors. I'm going to show you one more reference. So this isn't just me saying stuff. We already showed this book on our previous live streams. The Negro rulers of Scotland and British Isles. So I'm just reading a little bit from right here. I gotta get a physical copy of this book. Have to. Make sure y'all do the same. So this is page 11. The preface. This is in the preface. Okay. So right here, we're gonna read this passage right here. This is the preface. I'm trying to show the full screen so y'all can see it. Alright, Alright, so I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to zoom out, because scribed is just, or everend sucks. So, there were several phenomenal rulers in Europe long before the rise of Scotland, England, Wales, and Ireland. The Egyptian princess Skada, 1300 BC, fled. I want to show the full screen. Fled Egypt and settled in Caledonia, which her descendants named Scotland in honor of her name Skada, and Ireland. The African Moorish king Dardanus ruled Troy 240 BC. African Moorish. Go back to 100%. Search that again. I mean, y'all see it on the screen. We got African Moorish origin. It's like, how many times do I gotta show y'all this? So let's read let's start with Kenneth McAlpine Niger. So I'll start from the bottom of the page. Kenneth McAlpine Niger, right? So I'm trying to show y'all this right here, but I can't. Okay, I'm just see if y'all can read this on the screen. I know the text might be small, but I'm gonna try to zoom in. The Christian converted Moorish Pictus Kenneth McAlpine, 843 through 858 AD, who was also called, quote, Niger Valdub, end quote, was the first king of Scottish Alpine dynasty. The Scottish archaeologist David McRitchie stressed that Alpine, the father of Kenneth McAlpine, was a half-black Pict and half-black Scotch, whose son, Kenneth, was the first to merge the two foremost branches of the blacks in Scotland. When Kenneth McAlpine died, his younger Moorish brother Donald I succeeded him. Following the death of Donald I, his nephew Constantine I, the older son of Kenneth McAlpine, succeeded him. Constantine I, after suffering a defeat and beheaded by the Vikings, was succeeded by his Moorish younger brother Edith. I'm trying to zoom in so I can get all this. By his brother Edith, whose reign was short-lived. After the death of King Edith, his nephew Eochaid and cousin Gregory succeeded the throne and ruled jointly. Following their abdication, Eochaid's cousin Donald II, son of the Moorish Constantine I, ruled the throne. After the death of Donald II, his cousin Constantine II, the son of Moorish Edith, ruled Scotland. The Moorish Constantine II, who chose to become a monk, voluntarily gave up his rule to the Moorish cousin Malcolm I, the son of Donald II. Every king who followed Kenneth McAlpine was of the Moorish descent. McAlpine's descendant, Kenneth Doug Niger Duffy, and all of his successors were called, quote, the sons of the black, end quote. The four most popular African Moorish kings to rule Scotland was Kenneth McAlpine, Niger Valdub, Kenneth the Niger Macbeth, and James the Sixth first. King James the Sixth went on to become the first African Moorish Scottish king of England. All rulers of Scotland until the 7th century, that's the 1600s AD, were descendants of Kenneth McAlpine, either through male or female line. The African Moorish Kenneth McAlpine Niger Valdub is the 33rd great-grandfather of Elizabeth II. So you see, the African Moorish Kenneth McAlpine Niger Valdub is the 33rd great-grandfather of Elizabeth II. African Moorish, right? The Negro rulers of Scotland and British Isles. African Moors. Who were the Moors before the Moors? Africanmoors, Dr. Asa G. Hilliard the third, Africanmoors. Okay, so I don't have a PhD. I just showed you 3 PhDs that do have a PhD, and they're saying that Africanmoors. Come on now. Is this not the #1 African Moorish YouTube channel on the planet currently in the year 2026? Make sure y'all give us a like, subscribe, comment, and share this out. Share this out to the Hebrew Israelites. Share this out to the moorishscience Temple of American Moors. Share this out to the Nation of Islam. Share this out to the Fruits of Islam. Share this out to the quote-unquote black people. And support our channel. If y'all see down in the description right here, if y'all don't want to support our merchandise, which is African Moors streetwear, donate to our channel. You see here, hovering in our banner, slow-moed 420. Donate to us. The faster you donate, the faster we can provide more knowledge to the ignorant of African Moorish history that the world is covering up to not connect the quote-unquote black people to their African Moorish ancestry. And also the quote-unquote blacks in the diaspora to the understanding of African Moorish history. And also humanity's understanding of the origin of humans coming from the original African Moors, the Twa Mbuti Khoisan in Central and South Africa. So this is critical information in the year 2026 and going forward. And we need you all to share this information to the rest of the world, as we are limited by the algorithm. We are limited by the finances in our current day. So we need you all to support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, purchasing our streetwear and merchandise, liking our videos, commenting, interacting with our content, going to our official website, as you can see right here in our description. So we need y'all to do all these things, pretty much. And if you don't have the monetary expenses to contribute, you can interact with all of our various efforts in order to reach more people. So if y'all are not interested in this African Moorish history and science, then you are free to view our contributions in the scientific field in the form of our slow-moed Moorish portals that we're creating for you all. Our slow-moed Moorish portals. So if you don't want to pay attention to the critical information, you can go to our secondary critical information and our secondary contributions to humanity. Our slow-moed Moorish portals that we're creating, that we've done for the first time in human history with African Moors knowledge, or AMVs if you want to call them. So y'all can watch our slow-moed Moorish portals. Y'all can contribute by doing that. Share those out. But y'all can also purchase our merchandise, but interact with our material so that we can get a larger platform to help out more people across the world and eliminate ignorance and stop the misinformation that's being shared through these various orders in the forms of Nation of Islam, Moorishscience Temple of America, Freemason groups, night orders, the politicians, the UN, etc., so that we can deliver the evidence from A to B like a portal and open up a gateway to transport you guys knowledge. Give that credit to Tariq Bey. Tariq Bey. Give credit to Tariq Bey. For helping, for his contribution and his efforts. Taj Tariq Bey. Give credit to Taj Tariq Bey. I give credit, me personally, Maurice Kennard, CEO of SLOWMOE'd LLC. I give credit to Taj Tariq Bey. Because this is a brother that has put in the work. He's put in the work, and he needs the credit given to him. He's put in the work. Give credit to Taj Tariq Bey because he deserves it. And also get educated on civics, because that's how the ignorant are being attacked. That's how the black people are being attacked. So give Taj Tariq Bey a view, watch his material, watch his content, but also cross-reference information, cross-reference evidence, cross-examine evidence. So everything that I've been showing you all on this live stream, trying to find everything. I got a whole bunch of tabs up. I'm just building on top of these tabs and everything. I got a lot of stuff on. Hold on. I'm gonna put everything together. So, while we got references like who were the Moors before the Moors, the first Americans were Africans, the Negro rulers of Scotland, the British Isles, etc. We got all these references saying African Moor, African Moor, African Moor, showing the Moorish connection to the Africans and the dark-skinned black people, quote unquote. So we have to correct this. So we already showed the illusions. We already showed that the dark-skinned African Moors are the first humans on the planet. We already showed that. The Twan Buti Khoisan. Trying to get back to the book. I don't know where I'm at. I was trying to get back to Amazon. I don't know what happened to it. There we go. I was looking for that. So I wanted to get back to this. Well, we already done reading this, or reading the portion that I wanted to show as of right now. So, Origin of Humans, we already showed that. So the illusions of race. Now let us finish off the remainder of this live stream showing the illusion of races. So I wanted to go back to Dr. Malefikita Sante.
Otherwise, I'm telling you, race itself is a dead end. is first of all, is biologically untrue. There's only one race, and that's humanity. We all come from Africa. One African woman created all these 8 billion people on earth today. So you have to understand that, but you also have to understand unique history. So we have Dominicans in our community who don't understand that they're black, then we need to teach them, because they got problems. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, we shouldn't be fighting with each other, knowing that the real oppressor is looking at it and watching the factions.
Okay. Let's go to another doctor here.
So I want people to understand. Diop made it very clear. Nature doesn't duplicate itself 2 different places on the planet. Homo sapiens sapiens only come from Africa. And they migrated and populated all the other continents. So the first people in America come from the continent of Africa. The first people in Asia come from the continent of Africa. The first people in Europe come from the continent of Africa. The South Pacific, Australia, Papua New Guinea, they come from Africa. We populated the planet. So I hope that's clear. All they got to do is anthropology and archaeology, and they'll be able to see that.
And this video, this is the video that I extracted this from. But let's go to the exact timestamp so that you all can see it for yourselves. So this is the video, Infudishi Jehutimus, the Naga timeline from Kemet to Africa, to America. Excuse me. So let's go to the transcript.
Come from that continent. So I want people to understand. Diop made it very clear. Nature doesn't duplicate itself 2 different places on the planet. Homo sapiens sapiens only come from Africa. And they migrated and populated all the other continents. So the first people in America come from the continent of Africa. The first people in Asia come from the continent of Africa. The first people in Europe come from the continent of Africa. The South Pacific, Australia, Papua New Guinea, they come from Africa. We populated the planet. So I hope that's clear. All they got to do is anthropology and archaeology, and they'll be able to see that. You know, and I'm
So this is at the 1:08 minute mark, or the 1 hour and 8 minute mark. If you see here, 1 hour and 8 minute mark, you'll be able to see this reference by this doctor. This is a doctor, by the way. Multiple doctor degrees. So that's just another reference. Those showing the illusion of races. And I'm searching for this on our official official X page. So this is an article by Michael Deacon, interview Alice Roberts on the Incredible Human Journey. This is the documentary that I mentioned earlier in this live stream. In her new BBC 2 series, Dr. Alice Roberts explains how science is unraveling the mystery of human origins. I don't think I can see this article as of right now, because I'm not a member. And many of you probably can't. But I was able to get a snippet of it. So if you see here, this is a snippet from the article. Population, by the way, is the word we should be using instead of, quote, race, end quote. Quote, I wouldn't use the word race, end quote, she says. Quote, biologically, it doesn't make sense. It's a bizarre mismatch of concepts, culture, history. Genetically, a white Scandinavian and someone from sub-Saharan Africa are very similar. In fact, humans have less variation genetically than chimpanzees. It makes you realize that all the historical attitudes towards different races are scientifically meaningless. End quote. You see here? And this is also from the book Black Genesis, The Prehistoric Origins of Ancient Egypt by Robert Bauval and Thomas Brophy, PhD, page 218. As you see here, in one of the BBC episodes, the presenter, Alice Roberts, who is also a lecturer in anatomy at the University of Bristol, explains that a, quote, complex-looking DNA-based family tree shows how 21st century Europeans, Australians, and the rest can all be traced back to the same black African population, end quote. Roberts further explains with refreshing candor that, quote, population is the word we should be using instead of race. I would not use the word race. Biologically, it doesn't make sense. And it is a bizarre mismatch of concepts, culture, history. Genetically, a white Scandinavian and someone from sub-Saharan Africa are very similar. In fact, humans have less variation genetically than chimpanzees. It makes you realize that all historical attitudes towards different races are scientifically meaningless, end quote. Okay? And I'll show this too, by Dr. Edward W. Robinson.
That we and all the rest of the people in the society, the Asians, the whites, the Korean, everybody, including black people, despise our Africanness, despise everything that originated below the Sahara Desert. The problem is that we and all the rest of the people in the society, the Asians, the whites, the Korean, everybody, including black people, despise our Africanness, despise everything that originated below the Sahara Desert.
Now, for those of you that don't want to pay attention to all these scholars and all these doctors and all this stuff, and it's making your head hurt, and you're as Jesse Lee Peterson, or Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson would say, quote unquote, he's black and slow, end quote. Now, for all of you that don't want to pay attention to these doctors and all this, and you want to pay attention to basketball and athletes, let's go to a famous athlete who says the same thing. So this is on Jason Whitlock's podcast that he interviewed Isaiah Thomas.
Equal rights. We are not granted birthright.
So let's go to Isaiah Thomas. So this is the video, Isaiah Thomas and Jason Whitlock, 2021's most epic conversation on race, episode 52. So if we go to the transcript,
fascinating take that race is a man-made false construct, and he's been explaining this to me for the past year. Isaiah's smarter than me. I don't know if you know this, but he's smart. He's smarter than me, and so he's got this degree from Cal Berkeley, extra degree. Went to Charles Barkley's smarter than you. No, he's not. The Barkley's not smarter than me, and Barkley knows that. But anyway.
explain to me, my audience, and Jim, did you notice, by the way, I told the story about me and Bobby Knight and Landon Turner, and Isaiah just blew it off. Wouldn't even go with my funny joke. Wouldn't give me any credit at all. I actually rooted for them back in 80 and 81. Landon Turner's from my city. But because first of all, Isaiah's an OG. Isaiah's old school. Okay, Isaiah no pressure bust pipes. Okay, Isaiah.
He say thank you. When you run the tape back, you heard me say thank you for that.
Oh, he did say thank you. Oh, he did? Yeah, he did say thank you. Like, you got some more you want to give out? Isaiah, help my audience. Why do you think race is a false construct?
So first of all, I'd like to give my qualifications for answering this question. And you talked about my master's in education from UC Berkeley, and my educational studies in this space is around race, culture, and sport. And UC Berkeley is the #1 public research school in the United States. Okay, now from my life experience of being classified as black, so I'm giving you my life experience combined with my educational scholarship experience and my qualifications to answer this question. So the people that I have studied, Theodore Allen, 2 volumes, the invention of the white race by Theodore Allen. Okay, and then you look at John Henrik Clark, you look at Omi Nwynette in terms of racial structures, and then also when you look at Frances Cress Wessling in terms of her theories on white supremacy. Now, those are kind of some of the research books that you can kind of go and find and read and understand where I'm coming from. Now, when we talk about the social construct of race, scientifically, biologically, science has confirmed that there is no such thing as race. Okay? Now, there are racial classifications, just like in South Africa where they had apartheid. We are in a color-coded apartheid system that talks about us as black people, white people, yellow people, people of color. We have all been taken out of our nationalities, white folk included. You grew up with Irish, Italian, Greek, Polish. Now they all classify as white. We, Aboriginals, born here in America, your mama born here, your grandmama born here, your great, all them, everybody, we come from the land. But our nationality has been stripped and taken away from us. And we're put in these color-coded boxes. And we're governed, we're ruled under this colored apartheid system of black, white, red, yellow, blue, people of color. I'll hit the pause button and see if you have any questions.
Everything you've said so far, I tend to agree with. Where I'm at on the issue in terms of I guess I've kind of accepted the color coding, but I've moved on to culture is far more important than color. And it's what culture, what's your worldview, what's your life philosophy, what are the customs that you think are appropriate behavior and appropriate just way of looking at that's far more important than what your skin color is. That's where I'm at. But am I wrong? Am I right? That's my view.
No, you're right, and those are different. Those are big words with different, classifications. So when you talk about culture, right, we do have a black culture, and because we have been classified as black in this system, and in this system we've been classified as Negro, colored, black, African American, some other. We've been called everything but American. we can't claim our nationality as Americans, and so therefore there's been this second class status when you say black as a race. So they have us talking race, okay, when there's really, race is a social construct. It really doesn't exist. So when we classify as black, that means that in this system, right, you are classifying as someone who doesn't have nationality or claim to the land, which they call birthrights. So the white male has never, the classified white male has never had to fight for voting rights. He's never had to fight for equal rights. He's never had to fight for civil rights. He's born with what they call birthrights. You've had to have your birth certificate changed, just like I did, from Negro to black. Black, color. Remember we had to take Negro off our birth certificates. Okay? Why? Because that meant that you were classified as second-class citizens. Well, today we're still fighting for voting rights, civil rights, equal rights. We are not granted birthrights in this color-coded caste system that we have in America. When you talk black, white, people of color, that comes with legal concepts, that come with legal terms. And then when you look up the definitions of these words, right? When you look up the definition of black, we want to change the definitions of words, but we can't. Language is what language is. But when you go to the dictionary and you look up the definition of black, the first thing that's in that box next to the word black, it says adjective. Now, we know that a noun is a person, place, or thing. An adjective, you are not a person. So when you classifying as black in terms of race, you're basically taking yourself out of personhood, and that's the definition. Now, we do have, connotative and denotative language. We tend to speak in connotative language where it's acceptable. Like when we say bling bling, we say, oh, that means a diamond. Well, when you go someplace else, they call a diamond a diamond. Now, when you travel outside of America, Jason, and you've traveled outside of America, on your passport, and you go to different countries, you classify as an American from the United States. When you come back into America, then you get reclassified as black. Any white person traveling outside of America, when he or she goes to another country, they classify as American. When they come back into this country, that's the only time they call themselves white, or we refer to them as white, black, yellow, blue, green people.
I'm going to rattle off some. I was writing notes. Who do you think's doing the classifying, though? Because
the government.
I think we are. Well, again, but I think like some.
Yeah, we have nationality, race, and race is kind of like Santa Claus. If you believe in it, it exists. Okay, that's the science of it, right? Now, there's only
no one believes in it more than us, though, Isaiah. I think we believe in race more than anybody. We're letting the Associated Press and everybody, we're going to capitalize the B in black. We're going to really set y'all apart from everybody else and give y'all a little special distinction. Lean into your color. And to me, I know a lot of people, black and white, that really all they want to be is American. And for me, just for me, and again, I just judge me as a Christian. I want to be a part of Christian culture. And that's for me. Now, I'm not saying everybody's got to be, but there are more important things than my skin color, and maybe there's people that have other religions. Prioritize that.
Let me stop this here, because Jason Whitlock seems to be ignorant of what the Christians were doing during the Spanish Inquisition, when the quote-unquote blacks were called Moors. So I just want to clear that up. Seems to be ignorant of the social construct of race. So as Isaiah Thomas just mentioned, this is Noah Webster's first edition of an American dictionary of the English language. And we have the term here, black, right here on the screen. Let me scroll up so y'all can see here in the archive. So, as he just said, black is an adjective. See the A right there? Black, pale, wan, livid, blacken, to become pale, to turn white, to become black, to blacken, black, ink, etc. And y'all can read the rest. But it's an adjective and it can't be used to, this word cannot be used to identify a people. This is not a land on the planet. Black is not a land on the planet, as we just seen with John Henry Clark earlier in this live stream. And also who Isaiah Thomas just referenced.
I see us as black people. Jesse Jackson's the one that said, "Hey, let's call ourselves African American. Let's quit calling ourselves Negro." It's like we.
Jesse Jackson is a Prince Hall. Well, he was a Prince Hall Freemason. So the Freemasons are already against the Moors, so to speak, or dark-skinned people, or Saracens.
Keep coming up with all these different classifications, and now since when George Floyd died, the Associated Press said, "Well, okay, George Floyd now says y'all get a capital B anytime we write and talk about y'all." And then you said we have black culture, and I don't want to give you too much to unpack, but we have a black culture, but you said race is a false construct. So if race is, how can we have black culture? Because some of the things that the media has defined as black culture, I want no parts of. There's a bunch of stuff going on in black culture in terms of the profanity, the use of the N-word, the music that we say is black culture that is insane. And again, I used to listen to the stuff, but I'm friends with rappers. And I get it. I mean, I'm not trying to distance myself from the depravity of it, but I'm not letting that define. That's our culture. WAP. That's our culture. I completely reject it. And so I want to be a part of Christian culture, American culture, and if I've had a couple of drinks, maybe I want to be a part of briefly some other, but mostly you do so good. I gotta tell you, he do so good. Then splash, what's that in the water? Oh, that's Jason. I gotta keep it real, Jim. There you go. I'm not perfect. God is still working on me. But anyway, that's and then last thing. I'm sorry, Isaiah. Voting. I don't believe we're still fighting for voting rights. That's a media bullshit. That asking people for ID is not taking nobody's voting rights. If you want to vote, you can vote. So now I'm throwing it back to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit voting rights quickly, right? And where we are in this country again in terms of classifications, every 25 years, the Senate gets together and they decide if you or me have the right to vote. Because again, we don't have birthrights. So this governing body gets to decide if you or I can continue to participate because we are not classified as full citizens because we've been taken out of our nationality and put into these color-coded boxes. So that's one thing in terms of voting rights.
Can I stop you right there? I want to ask a follow-up. Let me ask a follow-up. Why are we not fighting for birthrights?
That's what so
Instead of voting rights, why aren't we fighting for birthrights?
So when you go back to Carter G. Woodson, the miseducation of the Negro, we have been miseducated about this thing they call race. And we were fighting for nationality. We did not want to be dehumanized. When you talk about, the Memphis March, when they had on their signs, I am a man, right? Why was it said, I am a man? Because of dehumanization and taking you out of your nationality. They didn't want to be called Negro. They didn't want to be called color. They didn't want to be called colored. And if you go back and you look at the pictures where we are today, right, they had fountains that said colored people, white people. Well, today we're fighting to be called people of color again. So this is the miseducation of us. And in the miseducation, again, Carter G. Woodson, read The Miseducation of the Negro. We have failed to continue to fight for our nationality, to be uplifted back to the human race, have our nationality, and not have these color-coded boxes of black, white, red, yellow, blue, green. Now again, Jason, I'm going to take you back to your childhood. There was a time when you were growing up in Indiana, okay, and there were Caucasian or white people in Indiana who were proud to be Irish, who were proud to be Polish, who were proud to be Greek, who were proud to be Italian, right? Now, those same Greek, Italian, Polish people, they don't say they're Polish, Greek, or Italian anymore. They say they're white. How about that?
I bet you if they're listed, I can't speak for them, they might say, no, I say I'm an American. I think there's a segment of them would say that.
Okay, and what you hit on thirdly when you said a big problem is us understanding and claiming our nationality as Americans. We want to be, we'll say everything but I'm an American. You can say you're black, you can say you're African American, you can say you're Afro American, you can claim and say anything in word except I'm an American. Period. And there was a time when I was growing up, I don't know about this young group now, but when I was growing up, if you called me black, those were fighting words back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Let me
straight 100.
I think we have made a critical mistake of not understanding our history. And I've made this argument before, and we kept you almost an hour, and I apologize. I'm going to let you respond to this, and we'll let you go and hopefully get you back and talk about some other things.
We can go 2 more hours on this. This is important.
Oh, well, I'm in no rush. And TJ Husmanzada will forgive me if I go long. TJ, TJ.
Has he ever won a championship?
TJ's my guy.
Keep talking, Isaiah.
Make sure y'all give this video a watch. You see here Isaiah Thomas and Jason Whitlock, 2021's most epic conversation on race, episode 52, Jason Whitlock. Make sure y'all give that a watch. Very important information, but we have basically shown and proved to you the illusion of race. And to end this live stream, I will bring out one more video by Robert Bauval. A lecture by Robert Bauval, if I can find it. If not, I'll just search it up really quickly. Okay, let's see here. How can I find this quickly? So it's this lecture right here, Robert Bauval, the author of Black Genesis, the Prehistoric Origins of Ancient Egypt, and also author of the book, let me bring it up, The Orion Mystery. So what I want to show was,
hence the title Black Genesis. And we know now, because of genetic studies, that we all come from what we call the African Eve. I gave a talk at I'm going to end on this because I'm going to get scolded. Leave you to read the book, huh? There was 800 people in the audience at the Washington University District of Columbia, most of them African Americans. And I was apparently the first to say, I'm a black man turned white. Because that's what we are. It's just that. It's just a bit of melatonin that changes in your skin. And this is such a wonderful realization that we all come from the same source and we're exactly the same people. The package is different, that's all. And look at history and the mess we made because of not understanding this. We're at the threshold not only of understanding this scientifically, but to have found these people. Read my book. Thank you very much.
so he said that at the end of this lecture, I basically want to show that there are non-melanated individuals and scientists that are in this misunderstanding fight as well, in connecting quote-unquote black people with African Moorish origins and the origins of humanity in the diaspora and the origins of humans all over the world. So the illusion of race and the misunderstanding of the origin of humans, it needs to be understood going forward. And yes, this is very important information, and we're going to end the live stream on this. Make sure y'all rewatch our Live on Slow-Moed playlist. As I mentioned earlier, rewatch it. Let me go to it. So make sure y'all rewatch our Live on Slow-Moed playlist. Watch all of our live streams. Put it on shuffle. Put it on repeat. Because this is detrimental information. This is critical information. And needs to be understood. And we are addressing the quote-unquote black people's connection to African Moorish history and consanguinity. And presenting that with evidence. And I want to thank y'all for watching this evening. Thank you for the subscribes. We have more slow-mo, moorish portals being created. Stay tuned for this weekend, possibly or even later this week. We should have another slow-mo moorish portal open and created for you to transport you guys. So I thank y'all for tuning in this live stream. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check our merchandise. Link is available in the description. Make sure you donate If you don't want to support our merchandise, donate to our Cash App, as you see coming across the screen. Shop at our official website, and also read our blog at our official website, if you see here. And we will catch y'all next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we are about to get back in the lab and get to it. So, thank y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this presentation. And I will catch y'all next week. Alright. Deuces.